In January 2028, Sony is ending production of physical PlayStation game discs. This decision guarantees that the upcoming PlayStation 6 will launch entirely without an optical drive. What used to be a solid, heavy object you could hold in your hands is turning into weightless digital information. When the PS4 launched in late 2013, less than 10% of game sales were digital. You went to a store, you bought a plastic case, and you physically owned the game inside. This chart shows the collapse of that physical market over the last decade. We went from almost entirely physical media at the PS4's launch to a staggering 80% digital sales ratio for the PS5 by 2025. Sony states this shift is a simple response to changing consumer preferences. Gamers, they argue, prefer the convenience of immediate downloads. But look at the retail strategy for upcoming releases like GTA 6. Publishers are pushing a code-in-a-box model. You buy a plastic case at the store, but inside there is no disc, only a piece of paper with a download code. This transition is a calculated corporate strategy to end the concept of permanent game ownership entirely. The true motivation behind killing the disc is hidden in the supply chain economics. Producing a physical game carries enormous upfront financial burdens. Publishers want to erase the costs of manufacturing millions of optical media discs, printing the packaging, and managing complex global shipping logistics. But logistics are a minor issue compared to the primary threat to Sony's profitability, the second-hand market. This flowchart illustrates how a single physical game disc can be bought, sold, and traded in multiple times. Every used sale generates cash for a third-party retailer or another player, but the original publisher sees absolutely $0 from those subsequent transactions. By going strictly digital, Sony closes the ecosystem. They eliminate your right to resell the software and ensure that every single transaction flows entirely through their proprietary storefront. This closed ecosystem is triggering an existential crisis for brick-and-mortar game stores. Companies like GameStop built their entire business models around the used game market. Retailers are trying to survive by selling digital code cards, but these carry incredibly low profit margins. They simply cannot replace the massive revenue lost when players can no longer trade in their finished games. This bar chart reveals that Sony is not acting alone in this push. Major publishers are perfectly synchronized. Capcom sits at a massive 93% digital sales rate, and Electronic Arts reports a similar pivot away from physical goods. Microsoft's next Xbox, codenamed Project Helix, is also heavily rumored to be launching without a disk drive, aligning the two major console giants. Hardware manufacturers and software publishers have reached a firm consensus to lock down digital distribution, leaving traditional game retailers facing a severe threat to their existence. So, when you pay $70 for a digital game in a post-disc world, what are you actually buying? The legal reality is that you are not buying a permanent good. You are paying for a digital license. Read the terms of service agreements for any major platform. They explicitly state that the company has the right to terminate your access to that license at any time without prior notice. This creates an immediate crisis for game preservation. Eventually, platforms will shut down their online stores and turn off the servers hosting the update files required to make modern games run. Several years ago, Sony announced plans to permanently close the digital storefronts for the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita. A severe community backlash forced them to reverse the decision, but it proved how vulnerable a completely digital library really is. Players are financing record corporate profits while building collections that can be deleted entirely against their will. This lock-in extends globally, cutting off players in developing nations. For gamers in countries like Iran, the end of the physical disc means a total lockout from the PlayStation ecosystem. These regions face immense infrastructure hurdles. Digital storefronts require US dollar transactions and international credit cards, which are restricted by sanctions. Even if they can pay, downloading a 100-gigabyte game file requires internet speeds that are simply unavailable to millions of people. We have seen this exact transition happen in the film industry. Physical media died out, replaced by streaming platforms that frequently delete content or alter it without user permission. Nintendo is currently the only major publisher expected to continue supporting physical cartridge media. But for the rest of the industry, the era of building a tangible game library is definitively ending. A fully digital market is a flawless economic victory for publishers. For players, it means paying premium prices for digital lists of games that only exist until the corporate servers go dark.